The Astros have a contending squad once more. They lost some key pieces in the offseason, but found reinforcements for most of those pieces. This roster still has the talent to come out of the AL, but will it do so? This lineup is still loaded, and it's still probably the biggest strength of this team. Still led by George Springer, Alex Bregman, Jose Altuve, of course, and Carlos Correa, along with Brian McCann, Evan Gattis, and Marwin Gonzalez, Josh Reddick, and they're even going to put Derek Fisher in it. So this lineup gets an A grade because it still has high productive bats. And then when it comes to their depth, they have Max Stassi, JD Davis, and Jake Marisnick all in sort of platoon sort of role. Well, JD Davis and Jake Marisnick are in platoon roles with Brian McCann and Derek Fisher respectively. But Max Stassi is just a backup catcher. So we'll see how that works for them, but it's a pretty solid Major League core. Yuli Gurriel is actually injured with he's actually had a hamate bone surgery in late February, so we'll see how he does. He's doubtful for the start of the 2018 season, but he should come back in the regular season. And then when it comes to their minor league system, they have Tim Fedorowicz at catcher, but they also have Tyler White and AJ Reed. Tyler White is actually a prospect projected to come up again late this year. He already has a year of service time though. And then there's also Tony Kemp in the infield to go along with Kyle Tucker, another prospect that could come up this year. He has no service time yet, but he's projected to come up this year for the Astros. And there's also Alejandro Garcia, and Yordan Alvarez is projected to come up next year, but we'll see what happens with him. And as a whole, this depth is pretty solid, not the best out there, but still pretty solid, so I give it a B grade. And then when it comes to their rotation, they have an injury to Brady Rogers, and they also have a suspension to Dean Dietz, who is suspended for 80 games. I'm not sure, it doesn't say why, but he's suspended. However, they still have Justin Verlander, who was excellent. Hopefully he can keep up that pace that he was on, or be close to that pace. And then there's also Dallas Keuchel, Lance McCullers. They picked up Garrett Cole, also nice pickup there. And then there's Charlie Morton, of course. And then in the minors, they have a couple of guys that could come up this year, like David Paulino, Rogelio Armenteros. Two guys projected to come up mid-2018, and a couple of their top prospects in their farm system that they still have. And I mean, they could come up if a couple of starters get injured or if they underperform. So we'll see how that goes for the Astros, but their rotation gets an A- from me. And then when it comes to the bullpen, there's Ken Giles, and I mean, they lost Luke Gregerson and Tyler Clippard. I mean, Tyler Clippard isn't as big of a loss, but they did lose Luke Gregerson. They replaced him with Joe Smith, and they also got Hector Rondon, who's an excellent fit in Minute Maid Park, so that was a nice pickup by the Astros. And I mean, they have a couple of injuries to Jandel Gustave and James Hoyt. And actually, Gustave had Tommy John surgery last year in June, so we'll see what happens with him. And I mean, this bullpen is still pretty good, not the best out there, but you still have Ken Giles and Chris Davinsky and Will Harris, and then you picked up Hector Rondon, as I mentioned. So this bullpen gets a B+ grade from me, and this roster is still pretty solid. Hopefully they don't see guys fall off from last year though. While all of this is fine and good, they'd better hope that Verlander doesn't have age slow him down this season with the competition that they now have to face. I like the reinforcements that they got from this past offseason to accommodate for their losses, but they better continue to make sure that that pitching staff doesn't regress and that hitting core stays strong. Now, will all of this be able to make it out of the AL this year? I'm not so sure about that. However, I do think that they won't be too bad of a disappointment if they do have a World Series hangover. This is the Astros, and they should still be very good this year. The over-under is 101.61 from Fangraphs. I'm going under at 94.68, but still first in the AL West. So let me know if you agree. Let me know why they might be a disappointment this year. It is a predictions video, and that's what predictions are all about, discussion. And so otherwise, that'll do it for this Astros edition of 2018 MLB season previews for every single team, and so long.